Hey there, everyone. I'm Emily Muccianti. I'm a reading specialist and interventionist and a smidge of a reading diva. And today I'm here to talk to you about the role that an interventionist plays in regards to special education. Now, in my opinion, special ed and intervention should work together like peas and carrots. In fact, some of my favorite best friends in the world are special ed teachers, and we quickly learn that we each have our students' best interest at heart, and we can really work as a team to come together and benefit that student rather than trying to keep our two programs very separate. We want to kind of bring them together. And so today we're going to talk about that more specifically. First thing is, as a reading teacher and somebody who is working with students prior to having any kind of an identification for a learning disability or a dyslexia, anything like that, you're in a really important position here. You are and should be a very vital component of the IEP team because you're getting all of that information, gathering that data and that collection of data for that student prior to having an IEP and moving forward with any more specific types of intervention or support. With us as interventionists, we are a more least restrictive environment. And we want to make sure that we're utilizing our interventions prior to assessing for a learning disability. Now, I'm going to talk more specifically about a small school where your team is going to be rather small, and how you can come together with your RSP teacher, your psych, and any other players that you have in your special ed department. And so, first of all, prior to assessing for an IEP, what are the benefits of having the two teams working together? Well, first of all, you are going to be collecting a number of data points that the IEP team are going to find really important. If your school has taken on that universal screener, you really want to make sure that you are screening every single student, even the kids that already have IEPs, because we're still tracking progress. We want to watch those kids. And so that data, you might have quite a bit of data from years prior to an actual assessment plan being signed. And so you want to make sure that as part of that IEP team, you're bringing in all of that additional data. So you have a really, a long-term or a longitudinal view of where this student has been. It's really valuable, I think, for the team to see, has this student always kind of been on that low end and just progressing really slowly, or was the student kind of up to par where they needed to be and found a kind of a point that they started to tank? That's really good information to have. So again, you are collecting all of that screening data. Your IEP team, especially your school psych, is going to love it. Another thing is that you are collecting progress monitoring. If, for example, your school is utilizing the model of a reading lab or some sort of a pull-out intervention program or a walk-to intervention, you are going to be progress monitoring every 2 to 3 weeks. And with that data being collected and added into your system, again, it's additional data points. And from, the work that I've done with a number of different school psychologists, it's those number of data points that really help them to make their case for whether a student will or may not qualify for an IEP. So those progress monitoring data points are really super important. And what I think is even more important is that now, in addition to just the classroom teacher saying, oh my gosh, I'm worried about this kid, we have another set of eyes that are getting to know this student, watching the patterns that are emerging. And so when you sit down as a team, you are going to be able to in most cases validate what that classroom teacher is observing, and then sharing your own input as well. So prior to that IEP and that assessment plan, those are some really important reasons why you want to make sure that you're a part of this IEP team. Now, After an IEP, so let's say that we have a student who has been the assessment plan has been signed. They have had intervention for a year, 2 years perhaps, and they're just not making progress. And you have whatever model your school is under. Some schools use an RTI model for qualification. Some schools may use a discrepancy model for qualification. I've seen it done both ways. And bottom line is that you have seen this student for a number of months, perhaps even years, and you are, after that assessment plan is signed, after that student is hypothetically qualified, you're going to continue gathering that screening data. Now, your RSP teacher may be having obviously additional assessments. They're going to have a lot of academic scores. Your psych is going to have a number of scores. All of that. Oh my gosh, you get such a grand, wide view of this student as a learner. Even if they don't qualify, when you come out of an assessment plan and you do that initial IEP, it's really amazing what we can learn about this student. But if the student does qualify for special ed and is now on an IEP, we still really need to monitor the progress. And so if you are using your universal screener, then you know that 3 times a year they're going to be you're going to be collecting that benchmark data. But more importantly, and we've done this in a number of schools that I've been with, is that progress monitoring cycle that the students in the reading lab are on that calendar, our RSP students stay on that same calendar. Because what we've done is we are intensifying the type of intervention that our students in RSP are receiving. And so in the reading lab, where they may be in a group of one teacher to say 4 students or 5 students, now in an RSP setting, they may have a one-on-one situation or a one-on-two. So we are able to increase the ratio and the diverse, or not diverse, I can't even think of the word, it lost me. But we are going to intensify that particular instruction for that student. And we want to still progress monitor, because we got to know if it's working. The whole idea is that these kids continue to grow. Now, we know that their progress may be on a lot slower trajectory in some cases, and sometimes not. Sometimes, that wonderful RSP teacher can really get in and work some magic with them as well. So you as the interventionist, huge, important role. Buy your RSP teacher a bottle of wine or 2, or especially around the end of the year when they're trying to get all of their IEPs done before the school year is over. Get to know and become really close with your school psych. A huge, valid relationship that you can help each other grow, because your psychs are really knowledgeable people as well. Now, so what are the benefits of having this strong relationship in addition? First thing is that early intervention is going to, if it's done right, it's going to cut back on the number of assessment plans that your special ed team has to handle in a given year. You want to catch those kids in your reading programs and your intervention programs as early as possible. I used to think, oh, kindergarten's too early. They're just still learning how to do school. And then I started pulling kinder and realized, oh my gosh, I've been doing it wrong. We need to get them in as soon as possible. And I know that's what the research tells us as well. So if we can grab our kids as early as possible, we can potentially limit or cut down on the number of special ed assessment plans that are signed, because we're going to catch them early and catch them up, so that there is that discrepancy, and that gap hopefully is never really allowed to grow. And so if you can do that, boy, your special ed team, they're going to love you, because that means that they're going to really be able to focus their intense instruction on the ones that truly, truly need it. And those ones that just need kind of a little extra boost, we can catch them in intervention. So We don't want you to be an island. We've talked about being an island in intervention before, because you usually are the only reading teacher on campus, unless you're really lucky and there's more of you. But if you're at a small school, you're the only one. So you want to really come into that special ed department and become kind of that extended family. It's been a wonderful relationship in my experience, not only for yourself because you won't feel so isolated, but you are going to be able to make some amazing decisions for the benefit of your students. So that is my recommendation. Get to know your SPED department, become a very important part of the IEP team. Make sure that you're collecting the data both prior to the IEP and after, so that we can continue to see how these students are progressing. And like I said, peas and carrots. That's it for now. Talk to you later. Bye.